you journal at all, most prophecy gifts journal or at least log things because there's lots of information coming in and out. But if you do journal, just make sure you're writing down what you're sensing, what seasons, what changes, even if it's just a real vague feeling like something is shifting in this company, something is not right, something in my environment feels off, something feels, I'm anticipating something coming. What that helps you do is cultivate your execution, cultivate your timing, because you can see when the timing of when that kind of starts. And then as you're praying into it, as you're pressing into it, as you're seeking the wisdom and the counsel of many, and also the counsel of the Lord, then one of the greatest things a prophecy gift can do is wait and watch for experience before they have personal experience with moving. So if you watch other people or environments and you are journaling, okay, I'm feeling this, I'm sensing this, and then you watch some things unfold, that helps you see how timing works, because sometimes timing is a really abstract, vague concept. Well, what's the timing of something? But it's kind of like when you're giving birth. I don't know if anybody, I know, Brooke, I know you have a little one. So just think of when you had Haven, right? You're in labor, but you don't know when that baby's going to come out. It's like, you have to just feel your body. You have to feel the timing. You have to feel when every little piece, like, okay, now we're on step 2. Okay, now we're getting this much further. Okay, now we're getting this much further. Because you don't want to birth something too soon, because that baby could not be able to survive outside the womb if you have her too early. So I'm abstractly giving you that illustration for, as you're seeking timing, just make sure you're really quieting yourself and journaling things and kind of pressing into it, so that you can be careful not to miss the detail, because it is more of a, especially for a prophecy gift, it is an internal intuition. It's an internal leading that the Spirit is leading you in.
Yeah. And another thing that I had connected with too in the video that you had mentioned of, like, as a prophecy gift, you often feel alone or kind of crazy because,
yep.
Like, and I've like so felt that so many different times. But so then is it more beneficial to get together with another prophecy gifted person, or like a different gift entirely to balance some of that out?
I think you're cutting out just a little bit. I didn't hear that second half of what you said there.
Oh, I had asked, is it beneficial to like bounce some of this off, like whatever you're experiencing, with another prophecy gift person, or someone in a different area that would somehow balance it better?
Yeah. So I think that could be twofold, but I would definitely suggest, as a prophecy gift, finding other prophecy gifts that you trust, because the spirit of a prophet is subject to a prophet. That's what the Apostle Paul says. So basically, a prophecy gift is accountable to other prophecy gifts. Because we prophesy in part, we see things in part, we don't have a whole picture. We get a piece to a puzzle. The Lord gives us each other and gives us community so that we can bring other pieces into the puzzle. So if you have something on your heart, a great way to process, number one, to know you're not crazy, because you're not. And oftentimes a prophecy gift will think they're crazy because they're feeling and seeing things that are not yet there. They're hidden. And so a lot of times people who only see surface, they don't really, maybe their prophecy gift is very low. They'll kind of feel like, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't get it. So definitely get around other prophecy gifts that you trust and have private conversations. Be careful not to blast things to people that you don't want to judge or criticize what it is that you're seeing and feeling. Again, that's where journaling helps, because you're really conversating with the Lord, and just like Mary did when the Holy Spirit came to her, she kept things to herself, because there's some things that are intimate and secret that the Lord wants to process with you. But then, like you said, a great way to not necessarily balance what you're seeing, but also be able to receive from other gifts who are seeing other things. So that, because a prophecy gift, sometimes if you get so stuck on seeing the hidden pieces, you forget to come up for air and look at the world around you and be present in what is today. And it's really helpful to have beautiful friends, beautiful women around you that have other lenses, other viewpoints, other perspectives, so that they can contribute to you and balance you off that way. But that's a good question.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's interesting that both Kristen and Gabby both have mercy and giving. And so Kristen and Gabby, I don't want to keep putting you on the spot, but I just know that you weren't there. And so I want to make sure to give you some space too. So was there any questions that came up with that, or like, how can I lean into this more, or what is this, how does this apply to my life? Because if one of you have a question, they'll probably answer the other person's.
I guess I kind of have like a quick question about like the giving side. Like, is there like such thing as like giving like too much of something, if that makes sense? You know, like you give and you give and you give, and it's like, I guess, is there sometimes like when you can give too much where it kind of sometimes that, I don't know how to like word it in like
yes, absolutely. I know exactly what you're saying, and the answer is yes, yes, and yes. So I don't know if you were able to download the documents, but if you kind of look on like number 3 and number 4 talk about weaknesses and blind spots, and then on the back it talks a little bit about wisdom for maturity, because the giving gift, the greatest asset to a giving gift is discernment and boundaries. So understanding what to give, when to give it, and where to give it is going to be such a huge asset to you, such a huge benefit to your business, to your relationships. Because a giving gift, when they overgive or they give beyond the boundaries that they have, they start to feel used, they start to feel worn out, they start to feel taken advantage of. Even though they're doing what they're built to do, oftentimes when they overgive, they enable people, and people begin to take advantage of them or leech off of them, or they start giving into things that they're really not passionate about. They just do it because they see a need to be given, and they connect a resource, and then they just do it. So if you do, oh, yep, I see Brooke has put on the document for you. The document is really, really helpful because it kind of like fine-tooth comb peels through some of those, the balance part of the gift. So yes, that's an absolutely great question. And it is one of the greatest weaknesses of a giving gift, is just making sure you balance, use discernment, always stop and assess whether or not something is not worth giving into, but really a passion of your heart and a boundary, like within your boundaries, within your means. If you're married, also be in unity with your spouse and your family, so you're not giving more than what you're unified in, and those kinds of things. Okay. I hope that answered your question.
It does, yes. I have been told, and this is kind of just by many, that I have a really big giving heart, and I sometimes where I've given too much, where, you know, I have a really hard time saying no. And I think sometimes that can go hand in hand with like the giving, you know, not just saying like monetary things, but like just me like doing like volunteer stuff too. And I think for me, it's just how to step back into channel and be like, it's okay to say no. And that was kind of my year.
Yes. Yes. Like, so Gabby, here's the beautiful thing, but also a challenging thing for you, is that you are a giving mercy gift combination.
Oh, no.
And see the emotional needs of people and want to seek to rescue and restore things.
Yes.
Your giving gift is going to be able to come into a room and look at all the resources that need to be connected, where there is lack and where people have physical need that they need help with. So you're going to want to kind of run to the aid of, hey, I got a resource for that. I got a connection for that, or I could give to that myself. So the greatest asset to both of those gifts are boundaries, because in order to function in a healthy way, you don't want to completely burn out your gift by just see a need, fill it, see a need, fill it, see a need, fill it. And then all of a sudden you're just completely burnt out. And again, if you look at those documents, it's really insightful to see kind of how to use temperance in that and how to mature in it, because when you're mature in it, you're going to be able to really, work strong in those areas without feeling completely burnt out, and being able to say no, which is hard for a mercy and a giving gift.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rheanna, you said this too. So Rheanna covered this in the workshop, but you said something really powerful about the giving gift. In particular, like giving isn't necessarily just the strength to like give and that generosity piece, but they also attract resources.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Giving gifts are supernaturally have such a gift to see resource. Basically, like the people look at a piece into a treasure, look at something that's run down and turn it into a business, look at a process that seemingly broke, find a way to make it lucrative. A giving gift could be the person that just walks along the street and is like, hey, I just found $100 on the ground. It's like they're that type. Now that's frivolous in thinking, because that doesn't happen all the time, but it's kind of like that idea that they're a magnet of resource. And so they often will be the people that will say, hey, I know a guy that knows a guy that could do that. Or I know, like if they hear somebody say, oh, I really need to find somebody to redo my cabinets. Oh, I know somebody who does, that kind of work. Or, oh, I'm really wanting to raise money for this fundraiser. And they're the first to be like, hey, I got extra money I want to give to that thing. So yes, as well, as much as they are a giver, they're very much an attractor of networking with people and resources, but also connecting gifts. So knowing people's gifts, knowing people by the Spirit, understanding what they're good at, and being able to connect people that way too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting, because I see that big time in Kristen and Gabby. Like when I saw those strengths, I'm like, oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting.
My husband is a high giving gift too. And I swear, we go into a room of people and I'm the one who's always trying to like pull the cover off everything. Like if somebody has a problem, I'm right away into the roots. Like, oh, really? And how was your relationship with your dad? And when did you start feeling that way? And he is over in the other corner talking to somebody about, oh yeah, I know a guy that could connect you with that. And, oh, I'd love to connect you with so-and-so, and just networking.
Anyone else have questions about their particular gifts or observations?
I found mercy very fitting, especially coming from the perspective of a nurse. And Brooke, like with the programs I'm launching and reading over all the details of that, totally, it's right there. I was surprised actually that wasn't number one by itself. But so now that you explained it, it makes so much sense how those two can be so closely intertwined.
Right. Because your top two were mercy and giving, or
giving as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. They were tied.
And you said you're a nurse?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, your profession just screams your gift and your expression, like that you are attracted to people who have need. Well, not just physically, but emotionally. Sick people often need. I mean, I remember I have 4 kids and I had C-sections with all 4 of them. And I valued my nurses far more than I even valued the doctors who did the surgeries and cared for me, because the nurses were the ones that restored my heart and my soul as I was going through the process of pain and being a new mom, or just being scared or being excited and wanting to share that with somebody. And a mercy gift is so good about being able to tune into people's feelings and emotions and really like get in the boat and carry that with them. So that's such a beautiful profession for you. And thank you for doing that, especially right now with all the chaos. And
I'm a little lucky. My area of nursing is not like Cassie's and Jackie's. I'm not on the forefront. I'm actually on the backside of things, but give it a different perspective.
Yeah, that's great though, because even as staff, you're supporting people. You're supporting people that you're with. So And I know that we have at Freedom Culture, the ministry that my husband and I lead, we have, I think, 3 or 4 nurses on the front line. And they have just mentioned that the emotional atmosphere is absolutely out of control. So I know that they need support with all that's going on too. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, anyone else can continue to chime in if you have just something you want to run by Rheanna. She is like the woman for this conversation and many others, but in particularly this. Rheanna, is there anything, I know you are going, you know, you and I, or you organized the prayer drive we did around the cities, you're leading a ministry, you're doing a lot of counseling right now with women. Is there anything you're seeing as a common denominator in this moment that you feel would be helpful for us to, as again, a prophetic eye, important for us to just be mindful of in this particular season? You know, be aware of, be encouraged of, if that makes sense, just with the thread that you're seeing right now through all your work and counseling, etc.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mentor and counsel nurses, police officers, stay-at-home moms. So I think, you know, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of every environment, and I think it's all a little different, but kind of the same in the sense that when absolute pressure is applied, absolutely, you definitely find what your identity is attached to. And so whatever issue, I mean, the issues are galore. I mean, you could political, economical, social, medical, you know, whatever, pick your poison. But I do believe that people begin to see where their identity is connected when it hits the one thing that really is close to their vest, or really something that affects them personally. And so what I am really trying hard to make sure that I am carrying my people through with, and just reminding them, is to understand who they are, where their identity is anchored, and flow from that place. We always are going to have to create new reference points when things are unfolding and chaos is ensuing. And the Lord is continuing to expose things that we do have to deal with. But when you're creating new reference points, just be careful not to displace your identity in things, because as soon as you get attached to worldly function and worldly agenda, I think you just get off course. And I do believe it's a tactic of the enemy to keep us distracted from our focus. I do not find it a coincidence that in this day, I believe wholeheartedly people are getting downloads of blueprints and new strategies and new ideas, new inventions. I've talked to people that are like, I all of a sudden have this great idea, this great business idea, this great strategy and blueprint for this thing that's been on my heart for years. And all of a sudden I just see it, and I see the need, and I see the solution. And so when you're walking through chaos like that, you just have to keep resetting your pace, keep staying focused. If that means shut off the Facebook, shut off the Instagram, shut off the news channels, shut off the voices, the noise, and the atmosphere, and really begin to refocus. What is my purpose? What is my calling? What is my assignment? Where am I to be right now? I think that's kind of what our focus has been with all of the people that we're connected to right now, is everybody has the one thing that they're all up in arms and hollering about, wherever it is. But to really come back to identity, focus, purpose, and assignment. If you don't know your assignment in this season, you will chase down many rabbits, I guarantee you, and you'll feel very tired. And I even have, you know, it's so sad because I have strong Christian men and women who are on the verge of mental breakdown, suicide, because they are so lost in disorder and chaos with just the noise. It affects your brain big time. It really does. So protect yourself, protect your heart and what's going in and coming out. Definitely. I could talk for hours on that topic, but I hope that that's a little something that can help.
Yeah. That's really good. Assignment in this season. Know your assignment in this season, or you will get tired chasing many rabbits. That is so good. And ladies, we can do an extra bonus coaching call if we want to, in regards to that one statement, of just a check-in of like, how is your soul? How are you doing? What do you feel like your assignment is in this season right now?
Yes.
Because sometimes, and I don't know, Rheanna, when you are having these conversations, do you feel like sometimes that comes by just processing? You know, how are people getting clear on that?
Yeah. So, well, my husband and I we have this blueprint of how we teach our groups and the groups that we go to how to map out assignments. Purpose is part of that. You know, the grace gifts are part of discovering purpose. And that really what assignment is simply this, that the kingdom is about bringing solutions to problems. Your assignment is always going to be attached to the problems that are around you, the problems that find you, the problems that stand out to you, because there are, I mean, a billion problems in the world to solve.
Oh, no.
The Bible says when somebody opens their mouth, you can hear and understand their spirit by what they say. So when somebody's speaking, you can hear fear, you can hear depression, you can hear doubt, you can hear overwhelming attitude, you can hear indifference, whatever it is. And then your function, whatever resource that God has put into your hand, whether that's tangible or spiritual, bringing solutions to problems really is how you find your assignment is. What am I called to focus on? Now, we're not called to solve every problem. So that's where you have to really be still, understand what are the grace gifts that I have. If I'm mercy and giving, where can I give right now? Where can I counsel people right now and feel the emotional pain and really get in there with them and help them come out? You know, those kinds of things. So when you understand how you're wired, you can also understand what problems you may be focused to bring solution to. So
can I ask you one more question and then we'll wrap up?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of asking on behalf of all of us. So would you say that we're all on this process of getting clarity in our purpose, and that's coming to the surface for every one of us in the mastermind, right? So like our purpose is being clarified.
Yeah.
But would you agree, or would you say that the assignment, what you're talking about, is that when things happen out of our control, like the pandemic, like the riots, etc., like in those moments, we have to be mindful of like, okay, we're going on a direction, we're focused, we have a vision, but then something unexpected happens, like the wisdom to know, okay, what's my assignment in this quote distraction? So we don't get all swirly.
Right.
It's not necessary. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you picture like a teeter-totter and you have a fulcrum, which is kind of your balancing point, right? A lot of times people will say, well, in order to balance life, you just have to have equal amounts of stuff on all sides of your plate, which is actually not true. What you want to do with your assignment is you're always looking to see where, if your pile up is starting to come on this side, then you're going to move your fulcrum slightly to balance that pressure. That doesn't mean that you take everything off of this side to move over here or to deal with it, or you put more on your plate on one side or the other. It doesn't mean that you completely deter from where you're headed. It just means as you're bringing in new information, you're saying, okay, how does this fit to where I'm at? What do I need to set down for a minute? Because this is now irrelevant for this moment. Because remember, assignments are seasonal. So it's not a forever thing. It's just more about being very sensitive to not trying to drive a square peg into a round hole. So if you have it all mapped out and all of a sudden it's like, oops, quick detour for 30 days, got to be right here because this is about another assignment I know that I'm called to do, then you make that adjustment and move your fulcrum slightly for whatever balance or whatever load is on that balance. But like you said, that's what helps you from getting all caught up in the swirl. Because if you don't understand how your life affects or can help you're just going to be like, well, that person's right and that person's right. And oh my gosh, I could do that. I could do that. Well, they're doing this. I should be doing that. And how come I feel guilty and I'm ashamed that I'm not doing what they're doing? And because you just simply aren't focused on what you're intentionally bringing to the table. And it's going to look different for everybody.
Yeah.
So definitely in this day and age, the one thing I will say is encourage all of you ladies, do not begin to feel guilty or the expectation of people telling you that you should be doing A, B, C in order to be making a difference. If you're not saying this or doing this, then you are not a part of the solution. That's absolute manipulation. It is not kingdom thinking. So remember to hear what the Lord is telling you. Just because your stuff's not blasted on Facebook doesn't mean you're not doing what you're called to be doing. So just let that go. I don't know who that word was for, but there you have it.
Yeah, that's good. Does that make sense, everyone? Just like that language and in our process, I feel like that is just really helpful. So awesome. Well, we will respect everyone's time. Rheanna, hopefully we can get you on for another full hour before the thing, and we can.
Next time my laptop, my husband fixed everything and got it all downloaded. So next time I should be on time.
Great. Awesome. Ladies, good. If you have more questions for Rheanna, her contact is in our membership sites. But like I said, we'll try to have her on another time. And thank you guys for spending an hour this evening with us. Love you guys.
Yeah,
bless you, Rheanna. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Love you.
Yeah. Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.